Good evening and welcome to this forum featuring the candidates running for the contested Delta County Commissioner Districts number 4 and 5 that are on the ballot for the November 3rd election. My name is Shannon Taylor and I will serve as moderator for tonight's forum. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the Delta County League of Women Voters and the American Association of University Women. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization established to encourage citizen participation in government. It never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. We offer you this opportunity to become acquainted with the candidates and their views in order to promote an informed vote. The format for this evening will be as follows. Each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement, 1 minute for each question, and 1 minute for a closing statement. The candidates will be answering written questions submitted by the community. We will use as many questions as available. Time allows around 50 to 60 minutes. Each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to each of the questions asked. As this is a forum, not a debate, candidates are asked to respond only to the questions asked by the moderator. Please be respectful of other candidates. You are, however, free to address any appropriate issue during your opening and closing remarks. A timer will be used when time is up. A beep will sound and the timer will hold up a red signal card. When the time expires, the speaker must end their response. I will then move the question on to the next candidate. The moderator and host are present to ensure that the forum rules are followed. The forum will be recorded and made available for viewing on our local website at www.lwvdeltacounty.org. We now welcome the candidates for the Delta County Commission Districts 4 and 5. We have candidate McIntyre, candidate Moyle, candidate Barron, candidate Peterson, and candidate Rivard. We will begin with opening statements, starting with candidate McIntyre. Candidate McIntyre, you have the floor for 1 minute. You may begin.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I'd just like to introduce myself to the voters of the 4th District. My name is Rebecca McIntyre. I'm a lifelong resident of Delta County, and I've spent over 25 years in public service. I am looking forward to the opportunity to increase the amount of public service that I have had the opportunity to provide. I'm looking forward to working with the citizens and the other members of the board, if elected, to create and develop policies and programs that help bring our county forward and make us a destination for people not only to visit, but to remain and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle, you have the floor for 1 minute.
Well, good evening. I would like to thank the League for sponsoring tonight's forum. My name is Dave Moyle. I am your county commissioner here for District number 4 in Escanaba. I was first elected in 2010. That's put me in office for 5 terms. When I just got in office back in 2010, we had just come through the financial collapse of Lehman Brothers and the crash of '08. The 5 commissions that I've served on have struggled and made hard decisions to balance the budget and keep offering excellent services to our citizens and making sure that we haven't increased taxes to offer those services. I'm proud to be one of the commissioners that fought for a full-time veteran service officer, making Delta County the 2nd best county in the state of Michigan out of 83 counties and getting our veterans what we need for them, bringing over $60 million into the local economy. Also, we've got a full-time child advocacy center, and it's such a good center that other counties are bringing their kids there. If we are trying to investigate what might have happened to them, we're offering kids a much safer county as well. I look forward to giving you my information tonight and talking about my visions for Delta County.
Thank you, candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron, you have the floor for 1 minute.
Thank you for having this forum, and thank you for being a part of this. I'm Bob Barron, running for the District 5 commission seat. My background, I've been a farmer in the Delta County area in the mainly Escanaba Township for the last 48 years. I've been a full-time farmer, actually. Some of my experiences are I was a Bay College trustee for 31 years. I served on the every office that there was in the board and different committees. Also, I was a part of the Farm Credit Services System, which is an agricultural lending institution, which included Northeast Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula and also Lower Michigan for a number of years, 11 years. And my wife and I have been for the last 12 years running a Bible study at the Christian Park Center for the last 12 years. And anyway, I'm looking forward to this forum and discussing the different issues and things that are taking place in the county, and would like to present my vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson, you have the floor for 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Bob Peterson. I've been a resident of Delta County for the last 40 years. I currently live in Wells Township. I've been here for 11. I am a general contractor, licensed general contractor, licensed real estate agent. I am co-founder and president of Delta County Gun Owners Association. I have fought as an individual and as president of Delta County Gun Owners Association for the rights and freedoms of the people of Delta County. I have worked at the state level with our senators and representatives to help guide policy that affects not only Delta County, but the entire state. I'm a firm believer in people's individual property rights. I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe one of the big issues right now that is affecting Delta County is the lack of people in the trades. As I said, I work quite often with tradesmen and would like to help get them better, more help. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard, you have the floor for 1 minute.
Thank you. And I would also like to thank the forum, or the Women League of Voters, for presenting this forum. Dave Rivard, I've been involved in public activities for 58 years now in various committees throughout the county, serving on various boards and committees. I went to school locally, graduated from Escanaba High School and attended Bay College. I'm affiliated with local Catholic churches, attended many years at St. Anne's and then over at St. Anthony's. I have served the community in many ways over this on the school board for 4 years. I've served on the Wells Township as a township trustee, and I've served as county commissioner for 12 to 15 years plus, and would like to continue doing that. And like I say, I've served on many committees through the commissions and through these various boards for actually 58 years in the community. I've been very instrumental in helping the counties get some grants. I worked with Mr. Casperson on getting $1.5 million to take down the old bridge on the Escanaba River. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. That concludes opening statements. We will now proceed with the question segment. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. We will begin with Candidate Moyle. Candidate Moyle, what steps do you think the county should take to improve high-speed internet access for all Delta County residents, especially those in the outlying rural areas of the township?
Candidates, or the county needs to partner with any private corporation or business that it can to facilitate that. I mean, you know, the world is a global market, and I've heard that it's been the priority of some of the candidates to do that, and I would agree. I think the county needs to keep a sympathetic ear open for that. Information technology is opportunity, and so if the county can do things in partnering with private organizations or even some, you know, community groups to help facilitate high-speed internet to the rural areas, I'm all for it. And as a commissioner, I would do whatever I could to establish a steering committee, an ad hoc committee, whatever is needed to look into the possibilities of that. So from my perspective, technology is future opportunity.
Thank you, candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron? Candidate Barron, were you able to hear the question?
I had muted out and it wouldn't come on right away. I'm sorry. Am I there now?
Yep, the floor is yours for a
Okay.
minute.
All right. Thank you. The high-speed internet piece is something obviously that the whole country is moving toward. This forum kind of is an example tonight. My internet speed out here wasn't good enough to be able to be on the Zoom system, but I believe that as far as the service is concerned, that it needs to be something that the private sector needs to address. And if the best part of the county being part of it and other governing agencies locally would be to encourage that by not excessively regulating or taxing those and encouraging that service to come forth, whether it requires a committee or whatever else. But reality is the private sector will be the ones that can bring in the service as the market demands. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson?
I agree with the two former candidates. The private sector is definitely the way to go. I do not believe in a strong government reach on this. I believe the private sector has the ability to produce and to distribute high-speed internet across the county. I think it's very important, not just for businesses and that, but I believe high-speed internet being available to our students and to our educators to help educate our young is very important. And like I said, I believe in conjunction with the county, we should work with private investors and private companies to develop our internet process.
Thank you. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I had to get unmuted also. I don't know if the other candidates are aware, but 4 or 5 years ago, we paid the city of Escanaba to make a connection from their building to our building. So we do have the building already wired for high speed. So we have it there. It's just that we don't have enough service in the area. And we can work with our legislatures, and we do that. We meet with them occasionally, and we remind them that we would like that service in our area and get them to work on it. But that service is already in the county building, and it's already wired. We also work with the Michigan Association of Counties, and they are another group that is pushing our legislators for the service in our area. I agree. We need it for communication for our schools and our community or our county buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. What a timely question. Well, with the release of dollars by rural development for rural communities to access high-speed internet in their outlying communities, this is absolutely something that the county commission should be going after. These dollars are available to communities like ours to help even 7 miles from the city of Escanaba where there is no internet access. So I think, and I would push, were I a county commissioner, for more information on these grant dollars that are available and how we can access them in order to start the process of making sure that this is available in our more rural areas without delay. We've been waiting for private businesses to scoop this up, and unfortunately they haven't. This is one of those cases where I think the county needs to lead and not be waiting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, candidate McIntyre. We're going to move along to question 2, and question 2 is going to start with candidate Barron. Candidate Barron, what is your position on the current controversy over Enbridge Line 5 and possible environmental and/or economic impact on Delta County?
Well, Enbridge Line 5, I believe, is part of their line runs through Rapid River and provides propane for this area and other areas of the Upper Peninsula. So, and the proposal that has been proposed for under the bridge, I've looked at it. It looks pretty sound. I know there's some people attacking it, what have you, but the line itself has never had an issue under there. It's a concern about a potential issue, and I think the company Enbridge has come forth with a plan, and I believe it's a sound plan, and it's essential for the economics of the Upper Peninsula as well as Delta County, because a high percentage of our propane comes off that line, and it's a huge economic piece for the rest of the state. I believe that it needs to go forward and get done as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson?
Thank you. I believe that there's two ways to get propane to this county in the Upper Peninsula. One is Enbridge Line 5. I believe Enbridge Line 5 is the favored way, the best way to go. And the safest way to go. The other alternative is to bring it in by rail or by truck, which I believe is one, much more expensive, and two, a much more environmentally hazardous way to handle it. We can't just simply cut off all the power to the Upper Peninsula and expect us to just move on. So I think Enbridge Line 5, I would much rather have those materials moving through a tunnel, a secured tunnel, than riding across our highways and rail systems with all the possible dangers there. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I support Enbridge with their Line 5. I've had 33 years of experience work for utility. Time I worked with underground construction, high pressure gas lines, so I'm very familiar with it. I think it's a very safe operation that they're looking at, and interesting enough, they are going to pay for the line itself under the Mackinac Bridge area in a tunnel, and to the tune of over $500 million. It's a safety. I agree. There's other ways to transport it, and the transportation of through the pipeline, I believe, is the safest, most economical. It makes a lot of sense. Also, there is millions of gallons of propane that come. If Line 5 is not developed, the cost of propane is going to go right out of this world. It's a safe process. I agree. I think it should be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. My concern with Line 5 is making sure that there is an end in sight for when construction will be complete so that the other line can be decommissioned. There have been many projected dates as to when the line would be completed once the work begins, but it is in flux because no one is absolutely certain what kind of issues or problems they're going to run into when they're developing this. I think the end has to be hard and fast, and there has to be a definite date for decommissioning of the one that has been there for so long that has the potential to rupture. And without the support of the state of Michigan, I think helping Enbridge, that could be a problem. I think this is a situation where both the state and Enbridge need to work together to get it done and get it done quickly.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
I completely agree with Ms. McIntyre in that the state does need to partner with Enbridge to get this done. What people at home listening to this debate are concerned about is the cost of propane. Now, if you look at protecting the environment, and Enbridge has, I think, been very responsible in that capacity and is making an investment in the future of the Upper Peninsula. so that the cost of propane doesn't skyrocket and damage people working for a living. To bring this stuff in by rail or by semi or other, it's not necessarily going to be safe, and it's going to be very expensive. I think the company has shown responsibility. I do believe that we have to partner with them to facilitate the construction of this and the decommission of the other line. And we take a stance that will support our people right here in Delta County, and we do need this. It's a good thing.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. We'll move on to question number 3, and that will begin with Candidate Peterson. Candidate Peterson, many homeowners in Delta County have been impacted by unprecedented flooding in their homes, such as the Sioux Hill area. Repairing damages and running pumps 24/7 has been a tremendous financial burden for homeowners. What would your plan be to assist the impacted homeowners? Would you support a reduction in real estate assessments for homes that have declined in value?
Well, being a real estate agent, I actually deal with this quite a bit with homes that have never flooded before, but are currently. I know there are several ways to take care of this in the home, but I do know that it's a cost. And I think that I should say, I know that when I go into a home with my clients and we go into the basement and it shows that the water damage from this, it automatically decreases the value and the value of the house and the people wanting it. So it kind of takes care of itself in that matter. But I do think that we have to look at that at the county level, and if these problems, these people that are having these problems, we do have to look at their assessments, because their home is no longer valued as valuable as it was prior to this water problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I do live in Sioux Hill. I'm very familiar with my neighbors who have water in their basements. Unfortunately, I have a type of home that does not have any. But I'm with them. I've talked to many of this. We're talking about a coalition. We've talked to the road commission about doing some, putting some pipes in the ground out here or catch basins to drain this water.
And his neighbors.
I don't know if I'm getting a feedback or somebody's talking over me. But anyhow, I've also talked with Senator Peters' office about getting a grant for this area and not a loan. A loan, you got to pay it back. If we can get a grant, they're giving grants for the Great Lakes damages and controls, and we have that same problem right here in Sioux Hill. I agree, it doesn't do any good for the houses, and they got very amounts of depth of water in there, and I'm working with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Hi. Well, I used to live in Sioux Hill, and now I live in Escanaba. When I lived in Sioux Hill, I will say that our assessed value and our taxes were less than when I lived in the city of Escanaba, but we also had the opportunity whenever we were assessed to go before the township to talk about whether or not we felt that assessment was appropriate. And we can have those conversations, and I encourage people to do that. And I think maybe what we need to do is facilitate getting that information out so individual homeowners know that that's an option. They're not locked into those assessments. It should also be noted that I've lived in the city of Escanaba for 4 years now, and my assessed value has decreased every year. There's something going on. It's important. I think we probably need to look at it as a whole in the county to find out what that issue is. But there are ways and paths for people to adjust those assessed tax values. And I think it's really important that that information be given to the people on a regular basis so that they know how to do that for themselves and advocate for themselves. We should be there as their partners, but we can definitely facilitate that.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
If you look at what homeowners are responsible with through their property taxes, they have a heavy burden thrown on their back. Anything the county can do to help somebody that suffered through, flooding tragedy, if it affects the value of their home, I think their assessment should show that the county would have less revenue as a result of that. But we're looking at people's lives here. Property owners all too often will carry the burden of a bond set before the community. And so if the county can do something for them, especially after a tragedy, I would agree that we need to partner with them. We need to make information available to them and keep our ear to the county, seeing who's having these difficulties and be available for them. That's why I always give my phone number out at these commission meetings, 906-235-8427, because you're not going to hear from the people unless you make yourself available. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron?
Yes, thank you. The Sioux Hill area is having problems now, and we go back in the 70s, there were some wet periods of time there, and the Sioux Hill area had some problems again. I think one of the things is being involved with agriculture. Delta County has a drain commissioner. It's more of a figurehead job, but in agricultural areas downstate, they have they set up drainage districts, and it could be something that potentially could be done for the Sioux Hill area, where you literally could take down that water table situation and get better control of it. It would have to be explored. I'm not necessarily saying that we need to go look for grants. Grants that the government puts out are money that is quite often borrowed from future generations. And if there's a problem, you have a problem, it should be taken care of locally. And I think that would be something to look at, is how that could be done. It's called Sioux Hill for a reason. It's a hill. Well, if you got water on a hill, there should be a way to drain it out. And I think that's something that could be approached and looked at in the whole area and potentially alleviate the problem. And their assessments, they should be adjusted accordingly.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. All right. And now we will move on to question number 4, which will start with Candidate Rivard. Candidate Rivard, what impacts do you see in Delta County because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, obviously, there's nothing we can do about the COVID-19 in itself, but other than I will stress again, and I'll do it before this program is over, wear your mask, wash your hands, and your masks, and keep your separation from people, as that's being stressed by our local health director. Our administrator reminds everybody. We try to talk about it at our board meetings and remind the public. Other than that, I'm not sure what we could do. Just use good common sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. I believe COVID fatigue is real. I believe that this particular pandemic is wearing on a lot of people, and I think a lot of people are ready to throw in the towel. But the thing we have to realize is we've been secluded as the Upper Peninsula. We haven't had to deal with the brunt of it. We're getting ours now, and it's really time for us to dig in. This is when the big push comes. We skated in March, April, and May. We were complaining because we weren't being hit and it wasn't a big deal, and we didn't understand why we had to follow the guidelines. It's here now. It's spreading like wildfire, and now is our turn to buckle down. We really need to be cautious, masking, be polite with each other, be kind, wash your hands, keep your distance. There are going to be harder hit areas in our area after everybody else is done. That's just the way the UP works. We need to be ready to support those businesses that are going to need us when people can't go out because they're too ill. We need to be able to support our local hospitals, health departments. It's important.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
As I understand the question, the impact is going to have a tremendous economic impact. Now, as a county commissioner, I've been committed to thinking outside the box. I couldn't tell you that COVID was coming, but we were very aggressive and assertive, really, in investing the taxpayers' money to create revenue streams to take care of any governmental shortfall. You're looking at a 30% state revenue sharing shortfall potentially from COVID. Well, the commission invested aggressively the taxpayers' money and come up with 1,400 acres of hardwoods. And we're going to do managed cuts on that to put hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars inside the county coffers. So we will be able to offset shortfalls within the budget and not have to raise taxes. And that's exactly what you need your commissioners to do. We, in the soil, the Escanaba Solar Energy Farm, we invested 500 panels, which pays us back 5%. 5% on your investment is really good. So yeah, I agree. We need to be worrying about PPE. We need to make sure that people who can't afford it have it. We need to be polite with social distancing, but you got to take care of your business financially as well as the other stuff too. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron?
Yes, it's obvious that the COVID, the Chinese virus, is a disease that obviously has killed people and sickened people. And it's unfortunate that it has. It shouldn't have been here in the first place, but it is, and we've got to deal with it. It's a tremendous economic impact that it's taken place on us. As it's been said about the mask and the cleaning of your hands and distancing and what have you, those are all things to flatten the curve, as they said, but not to stop the disease. It's not, as we've seen, as President Trump has come down with it, which is one of the most protected individuals in the world. It's a disease that is going to work its way through our population. The herd effect is eventually taking effect. Michigan obviously was the southeast 3-4 counties that where it was hardest hit to begin with, and it's obviously working its way across the state. Thankfully we've got better treatments in these times. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson?
Thank you. The COVID disease is very real, and it is a very severe problem. I think that the county level actually is one of the better places to handle it. Nobody knows more about what's happening in this county, in this area, than the people of this area and the commissioners. I think that it's imperative that we protect people's freedoms and rights. At the same time, we manage for this disease the best we can. I think that although it's the county's obligation to try and help with this, it's also an individual responsibility. And the people that are susceptible and are at risk need to watch out who they're around and how they handle things. The people that are not as much at risk should also look out for those people, but we cannot shut down our entire economy with the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. And we'll circle around back to Candidate McIntyre with question number 5. Candidate McIntyre, how would you improve mental health services in Delta County?
If I had a magic wand, the first thing that I would do is I would expand the definition of mental health for the entire state of Michigan. That's not one of my options. So what I would do in order to expand those services is, as a county, we would need to expand them on our own. The amount of and the type of diseases that are allowed under the state statutes or at the state definitions for mental health are very narrow in scope. If the county wants to truly address it, it's going to be something that they're going to have to pursue on their own in order to expand and make more accessible to individuals who are dealing with mental health issues. We see it on a corrections level, we see it in a school level, and we see it in an aging population level too. We have to remember that mental health stays with us from birth to grave for a lot of people. And as the baby boomers get older, it's also imperative for us to remember that some of those cognitive and mental health issues continue, and we need to address those as well.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
Well, I think we need to bring the community together around a table to problem solve. I mean, if you look at the fact that we're spending $50,000 a year on an inmate in jail, but cutting back social workers at the public schools, it doesn't make any sense. 7 out of 10 people in the Delta County Jail have a diagnosed a diagnosed mental illness. Now don't take my word for it, talk to Ed Oswald, because that's where I got the information from. You bring your churches, your community groups. Pathways has been financially eviscerated, yet they still find ways to help people, and I think are an outstanding example of what they can do for mentally ill people and people that need assistance. A community think tank that's based on bringing all of our resources together to attack some of the problems that are identified is going to be your first step. When a guy is having trouble walking, you don't kick his legs out and cut his funding. You give him a crutch and you help him walk. You facilitate that movement. That's what we've got to do, because this problem's not going to get better. I can tell you that. We have to look at the cause of the problem, and then we have to look at people's lives and improving the quality of their lives, cutting down on the recidivism rate in the county jail.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron?
Yes. Mental health issues have been increasing at a pretty strong rate for a long time as our society is, as it was mentioned, aging. But that's a part of it. But the amount of abuse of drugs, alcohol, and different things, we've legalized recreational marijuana, as we've seen in other states, and schizophrenia skyrockets. This problem is going to continue to get worse. The community needs to look at it from the county standpoint. We do need to approach people with what works. There are things that work out there. They're not based on what's traditionally here. There's programs. If you ever look into the program Reformers Unanimous International, their recidivism rate, or their success rate, is over 85%. And we need to be looking at something like that in our county, something put forward. And there's other pieces that would come along with that, but it calls for the community to get behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson?
Yes, I've followed the problem of mental health for quite a while through my participation in Delta County Gun Owners Association and gun laws. And one of the problems that we have was back in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, when they started closing down mental health facilities. And they allowed these people to just go out onto the street. They put them in halfway houses and nursing homes and that kind of thing. I think we need to look at, as a county, how we can develop facilities that are correlated around the mental health problem. As Dave Moyle said, we have the pathways, and I think we need to work on more of that type of thing, where a person can go and stay, get their treatment, get better, and then get out on a monitored situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I think the county, we got two problems in particular, or three actually. One is in the law enforcement side of it. The other is in the drug side of it, and then the treatment side. I think the drug side of it today, we have more people who are dealing with drugs, selling, using, than we've ever had before, and I think that's due to the mental illness. And I agree, we need to get some treatment centers out there and some people trained in it. In the enforcement side, in the law side, it's a very difficult, a very expensive proposition for us right now, where we have to transport people downstate to hospitals and or other places, possibly Wisconsin sometimes, and that becomes very effective. And the other side of that problem is getting qualified people to be able to help us transport those people and equipment. And I can assure you, the county board has been looking at that problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. We'll move on to question number 6. Question number 6 will begin with Candidate Moyle. Candidate Moyle, what are your ideas for regulating current or future alternative energy sources in Delta County, such as solar farms or wind farms?
Well, we have a policy right now on wind farms, and that has been a work in progress. Sitting on the Planning Commission, I sat through pretty much the whole thing from get to quit. We have an application process that talks about even the decommissioning of these units. Delta County bought into the Green Energy Initiative, which is going to save local taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars based on the way that we run our day-to-day operations of some of the county buildings using lights that use less electricity. The county commission has partnered with the city of Escanaba and purchasing 500 of the photovoltaic solar panels at a 5% investment really to the county residents. So I am open to any type of renewable energies. We need to keep our pencil sharp, and we need to be progressive as we look towards the future in renewable energy.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron?
Yes, the renewable energy, I'm living in the Escanaba Township, specifically the Flat Rock area. There is a proposed solar farm for this area. Unfortunately, it's been severely hampered by local governance here in this township. But as an example, Delta County, as far as renewable energy is concerned, the Flat Rock area is Delta County is the #1 area for solar in the state of Michigan. The #1 area in the county is right here in Flat Rock. And Delta County also, with the Garden Peninsula, is the #1 wind area and the Great Lakes. So we have a tremendous resource in our area that we've been an energy importing area, and we can be the energy powerhouse as far as electricity is concerned for the entire UP and the upper Midwest if we develop it here. But we're going to have to get governance out of the way as far as in our situation here. The township has its own zoning situation, and it's unquestionably poorly run, but and it's causing delays and could kill projects. But the county needs to step up and support this kind of piece so we can get this done. It's a tremendous opportunity for us. The county needs to step forward. Up to this point, we really haven't seen the local governing agencies or other organizations in our county step forward.
Thank you. Candidate Barron, your time is up. And moving on to Candidate Peterson.
I am a firm supporter of all types of energy. I would love to see more safe renewable energies come to our area. I have done deep research into solar panels and a little bit into the wind farms. There is a huge ecological risk in the solar panels to the leaching of hazardous chemicals off of them. Also the herbicides that have to be put down on the ground to keep the foliage down from around them. The average lifespan of a solar farm is about 20 years. And as of yet, they have not come up with a viable way after that 20 years is up to either replace or remove those solar panels. From what I understand in my research, it's a huge expense to the county to do that, for the cleanup. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I support alternative fuels for years. I've worked with the city and as a commissioner on allowing them to put thousands of panels out at our airport. And we had a chance to be first choice of buying some, and the board did that. We bought 500 panels, and they're putting some more out there. Also, some of the townships around us, especially the Garden Peninsula, has installed probably well over 50 windmills out there that are connected to the grid system. And that's the way we go, whether we wander or not. That's the new wave of what's coming It's a renewable energy, and we got to do everything we can as a county to support that, and I think we will. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
May I have the question one more time, please?
Yes. What are your ideas for regulating current or future alternative energy sources in Delta County, such as solar farms or wind farms? Thank
you. When we talk about regulating alternative energy plans, I think this is something that the county has the opportunity to be in the forefront of as we move. We have a lot of great resources in our backyard. Michigan Tech is not far from us. I think one of the things that needs to happen when we're developing the master plan is to determine whether or not alternative energy sources is something that this county wants to do and build it into that master plan. We're going to need somebody who's in charge and is a director and understands the ins and the outs of alternative energy. And I think it's only going to pay for itself as we move forward if that's a position that can be built into some of the county resources that we have. There's a lot to learn out there, and we really need to tap into the experts before we make these armchair decisions. And I think it's really important that if we're going to talk about the regulations, we're going to deal with the people who know how all the procedures work. And that's what my recommendation would be.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. We will go ahead and move on to our 7th question. We will begin that with Candidate Barron. Candidate Barron, what are your 3 top priorities as a county commissioner, and how would you address them?
Well, my priorities would be that the county the governance would be minimally intrusive upon citizens of our county, be encouraging, and that Delta County would be a place that people want to come, live, work, and play, and we would be very inviting, and also that we would be a place that people would find comfortable to be with, that it wouldn't be economically straining. We have a lot of people coming into our area right now from other areas of the country because of the situations that are taking place with instability, riots, very poorly run governance, and we need to be inviting, and I believe there'll be a tremendous asset to our communities, but we have to be the community that shows them that there's a place for them, and also that we are open and inviting, but also we stand for what the foundation of this nation is and not bring in something that causes us to be decaying like these other areas are. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. Candidate Peterson?
Yes, I'm a firm believer that we need more trades classes. We need to develop our trades and our trained people out there to help keep them in this area. I believe we need to really work on our tourist attraction here. We have so many resources out there that people long to see and long to visit. And I think that with a little bit of development, we can make Delta County a real hub for people not to just pass through, but to come and stay and spend time. I also believe that we really need to get behind our law enforcement. We have to look out for the safety of our people, not only through crime, but through COVID, through other pandemics. Basically, we really need to look at the economic boost of this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I think there's several areas that need our attention as a commission. One is the budget. We talked about that earlier because of the COVID-19 thinking the states and the government. We were anticipating a 30% cut, and now it's closer to 5%. And the administrator has gone through our budget already for the 2021 year, and they've made cuts on things that they would like but can get without, and that puts us in a solid budget for the 2021 year. Again, we talked about earlier, I won't go into it, is mental health as it affects our drug issues and our jail issues. We got to be promoting the UP State Fair, the Chamber of Congress. Them are big things in our UP State Fair, brings in many millions of dollars. And thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. The top three issues that I see for our county are developing and creating job growth and new business growth for our communities, shoring up the infrastructure that we see is already kind of failing and falling apart in our larger municipalities, and making sure that should business grow or businesses move in, they have access to electricity, water, and high-speed internet that's going to allow them to move forward as well. And then the final piece to that is a short-term to a medium-term housing option for individuals, especially when they're coming into our area for those new jobs. I think all three of those pieces need to be in place in order for continued growth of our community. And I think it provides us with a better backdrop and makes us a more desirable location for those individual businesses that maybe are thinking of either growing or relocating to our area.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
Number one, fiscal discipline. We have to offer a balanced budget, can't dip into our savings to spend on the day-to-day operations. So making sure that our budgets are balanced and that our residents receive the best services they can for that. Number two, back our blue and our brown. Unlike some of the liberal enclaves of Portland and Minneapolis who are defunding their police, we let our law enforcement know that we got their back because they go out and they do the jobs that keep us safe during the day and night. They can't be worried about some administrator or some politician who's going to try to make a name pandering to his base. And no, they've got to feel good about it, have the best training and the best equipment. And the third, finally, is improving our mental health system to a point where maybe here in Delta County, where people can't detox in this county because there's no place to do it, we could advance and partner with Pathways by bringing the community together and having a detox facility, which actually might be an inpatient facility, and could end up saving some lives. We've done this with drug court. We thought outside the box. We need to get together again as a community to think outside the box, not only with fiscal discipline, but with helping people with a mental need.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. We'll begin our 8th and final question, starting with Candidate Peterson. Candidate Peterson, do you think the Delta County Airport is being run effectively? What would you change, if anything?
I know a couple of the previous administrators at Delta County Airport, and I think that it's probably being run quite effectively. With the amount of business and travel from this area, there's only so much money that can go into it. I think the best way to help the Delta County Airport is to improve the economic value of Escanaba and Delta County, which would bring more people using that airport, bring more income in, and allow them to use that money for more maintenance and maybe possibly for expanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. Candidate Rivard?
Thank you. I think we've done a fairly decent job at our airport. We've added new hangars over the last 5 or 6 years and put much money into improvements into some of our buildings, especially the hangar one has been redone, and a lot of insulation and these types of things to help save money and cut down the big bills out there. Also, we've added and changed managers out there, and I think they've been extremely proficient at doing that. And based on our usage in planing and deplaning out there, in the last year, several years, we've gotten over $1 million from the state FAA for improvements, and we've done that, and we'll continue to encourage and we put several thousands of dollars into ads advertising the pigs. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. Effective management of the airport is integral in order to feed the lifeblood of a rural community. At this point, our airport is currently in the process of negotiating with 3 separate airlines for a more prime flights in and out of our airport. It's something we haven't had the opportunity to do for quite some time. It's a big boon not only to the airport, but to the travelers who live in this area, especially business and recreational travelers. It means that those dollars will stay at our airport instead of having to go to Green Bay or Marquette, or even have a very effective and aggressive manager who is doing a great job at making sure airport in our community stays.
All right. Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle?
Our manager right here in Escanaba and little old Delta County, Andrea, is doing a phenomenal job. She's an excellent manager. She's on top of everything. We had a meeting this morning, and we are no longer negotiating. You're going to see the full board tomorrow night's meeting get a motion made. You know, Delta County Airport's the only airport locally that I can think of that you don't have to pay to park. And that's a wonderful thing, where you go up to KS or Air Force or down to Austin Straubel, you've got to pay some healthy money to park. You don't have to do it there. And so we've got a lot. We're putting up a car wash for our car rental company. That's being paid for by them. We are moving in the right direction. We have the right management there. And so it's steady as you go with this airport. And it's one of the things that we can use for our economic development right here in Delta County. So recognizing that we have an excellent manager is good, and that things are moving in the right direction at that airport is right on key.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron?
Yes, the Delta County Airport has been steadily over the last a number of years had an increase in boardings, and unfortunately this year's a glitch, but I believe that will be coming back. And as we become more attractive for people to come to a destination point, and that will be through what we do here to make ourselves attractive, the airport will become more critical because people want to get here quickly, and that's the quickest way to get here. And I think the airport has been moving in a very good direction, and we need to continue doing the things that will keep that attraction of the use of our people coming to Delta County and the use of our airport to be ahead of that curve as far as being ready for the influx of the people and opportunities that are going to be coming to our county as we make it more available for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Barron. We have now come to the final minutes of the contested Delta County Commissioner Districts 4 and 5 candidate forum, when each of our candidates will be given 1 minute to make a closing statement. Closing statements will begin with Candidate Rivard. Candidate Rivard, you have the floor for 1 minute.
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank the League for sponsoring this forum. And I want to also thank the participants for participating in this forum. I conclude with asking the voters for their support on November 3rd. I would like to continue as a District 5 Commissioner, but remember, keep your distance, wear your mask, and wash your hands. Thank you, God bless, and thank you, good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Rivard. Candidate McIntyre?
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us all the opportunity to answer questions that were sent in by the candidates. I think anytime voters have more than one option when they go to the polls, it's a positive. I want to thank the people who have voiced an opinion and have propelled all of us forward into public service. I think the best way that we can serve our constituency is to listen and to be present. And I look forward to having that opportunity in November. I think it's important that everybody exercises their right to vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, just so long as you go. And I want to encourage everybody, however you do it, absentee ballot, in person, get out, vote, and remember it's your right to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate McIntyre. Candidate Moyle.
Well, thank you very much for sponsoring the forum tonight, and to the voters of Delta County, thank you. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the Delta County Road Patrol Deputies Association, the Delta County Gun Owners Association, State Representative Bo LaFaith. I've strived hard in the past 10 years to be honest and apparent, and my voting record is black and white. I was the commissioner that pushed through the Delta County Sanctuary County for the Second Amendment. There are more CPL, concealed carry licenses in Delta County per capita than any other county in the state of Michigan. That's a proven fact, according to Nancy Przrocki. That number is going up. The men and women of Delta County know the Second Amendment is important, and they respect and love peace and security. And so I think that the first line of defense in the Second Amendment is the sanctuary movement. I've been honored to be your county commissioner for the past 10 years. The county has had choices in District 4, and I've been really honored and humbled that you've put me back in office again. I ask for your vote on November the 3rd, and I will be the same honest and transparent commissioner I've always been. May God bless you.
Thank you, Candidate Moyle. Candidate Barron.
I would like to thank you for having this forum, and I thank all the other candidates that are here. Very polite and informative forum. I would like to, as being running for District 5 County Commissioner, I stand for sanctity of life, biblical principles, First and Second Amendment. I'm a lifetime NRA member. I think property rights are paramount from our Constitution, as we have that we hold these truths to be self-evident to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And also that I want things done right. I just ask us all to go out there, and I ask for the vote of the people out there in the 5th District, and I thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Peterson.
I too would like to thank the League of Women Voters and the opportunity to participate in this event. I believe one of the biggest duties as a county commissioner or a representative of any sort is to, one, listen to the people. All the people of Delta County should be able to contact their commissioner with their concerns, whether District 5, District 4, District 3. I am running as a nonpartisan. You'll have to look for me on the ballot. And running as a nonpartisan, I believe that I have the unique ability to not only represent Republicans or Democrats or independents, but everybody. And that is my true intention. I believe in listening to people, researching issues, and coming up with the best possible conclusion to those issues. If you vote for me, I will represent all of the people of Delta County. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Peterson. This concludes our candidate forum for the Delta County Commissioners. The forum sponsors would like to thank the candidates in the audience for their participation. This forum has been recorded and will be available for viewing on our local website at www.lwvdeltacounty.org and Facebook page within a day or so. We also want to thank the media for their help in promoting the forum. For further information on the upcoming election, go to our online voter guide at vote411.org and remember to get out and vote November 3rd. The polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Any eligible Michigan voter can vote by mail, also known as voting by absentee ballot. Voters must first apply for an absentee ballot by filling out an application until October 20th, 2020. You may apply using the online options, but after October 20th, the completed application must be sent or delivered. When you receive your ballot, follow the instructions carefully. A large number of absentee ballots were spoiled in the primary election because the voter failed to sign the envelope. If you have questions about your ballot, please call your local clerk. Voters should return their completed absentee ballot as soon as possible to their local clerk. The League urges you to hand deliver your completed ballot to your local clerk or in your clerk's drop box instead of using the U.S. mail. Check our Facebook page and website to find a listing of local drop boxes. Please note, the drop box is only valid for the jurisdiction where the box is located. For example, you cannot drop a ballot meant for a Bark River into the Escanaba drop box. Please remember to vote for the partisan races, the nonpartisan races, and at the bottom of the ballot, the proposals. Your vote is important. Vote early if you can, but go out and vote on November 3rd. Thank you again. Good evening.
Thank you, League. I appreciate it. Good night.